Um, I just, I want to talk a little bit about political rhetoric because, a few years ago when we had passed Bill C-16, I became target of a Campaign Life Coalition phone thing about abortion and also trans rights. And I actually answered the phone at one point, and I said to the woman, it was because we didn't want Rachel Harder chairing status of women when she voted against Bill C-16 and also supported abortion, did not support a woman's right to choose. And the woman said to me when I asked her, she said, well, trans people don't actually exist. And she was a lovely older lady, to be honest with you, but she had been fed all this information and truly believed what she was saying to me. In February, the leader of the opposition said there's no space in women's bathrooms, change rooms, shelters, sports, and more for trans women, trans girls, right? And at the last meeting I mentioned, there was a 9-year-old girl in British Columbia with a pixie cut who was, the parent demanded that she provide a birth certificate to prove that she was actually a girl. So this actually transcends far beyond just kids who are questioning their identity. It's making people question all kids who might look different, right? I wondered, I'll start with you, Ms. Johnstone, the political rhetoric, which is out there, how does that impact the way that Canadians think about issues?
Thank you very much for the question. And I hope, and maybe to respond a bit to the statement previous as well in my remarks. First, I think the political rhetoric encourages and emboldens the playground bullies to mistreat the trans kid or the gay kid or the kid who just looks a little bit different. And so it contributes when you're hearing your political leaders say there's a conspiracy in schools and there's a concern around this gender ideology thing. It emboldens that kid who might be, a teenage hockey jock. And I know those kids well from my days in those hockey change rooms. It emboldens that kid to mistreat their trans or queer peer. And just to maybe set the record straight, I was in the room for C-16. I was also in the room for the effort to ban conversion practice. And I did see half of the Conservative caucus vote against the initial iteration of that bill. I also saw the previous leader, Aaron O'Toole's removal as leader was contributed to by what I believe was his pressure on the Conservative caucus to ensure a vote in favor. I would add that there is great concern when you have a politician, a party leader, Pierre Poilievre, going to the defense of premiers in Saskatchewan, Alberta, and New Brunswick who are overriding the charter-protected rights of those children, who are rationalizing and defending the restriction of healthcare access for vulnerable young people. I do not believe this is intrinsic to the Conservative Party. I looked on my parents have voted Conservative. I have many Conservatives in my circle. And I remember reading Ms. Lanceman's article in the Globe and Mail, I believe it was, we're urging the Conservative Party to leave this homophobia and transphobia behind. The concern I have is that there is one party in Canada elected into the House that is engaging with dog whistles and rhetoric. And I think we see that with the remarks on gender ideology. And so I don't believe this is intrinsic to Conservatives. I just invite us to make this a nonpartisan issue. And it's hard to do so when we see this rhetoric continue to be used at rallies, when we see no Conservative member of Parliament, including our age-old allies in your party, speak up internally or externally to express concern. I watched fearfully as the Conservative Party convention last September voted in a policy that would ban me from accessing women's washrooms. I think about the homeless trans woman who's kicked out of her house and her inability to access a women's shelter if that policy passes into law, despite those feminist organizations wanting to serve her. And so I don't want this to be a Conservative issue. I don't want this to be a Canadian issue. But when you're a leader and certain members of your party make it a Conservative issue, I will do everything I can to cease that.
Through the chair, if that's
Thank
all right.
you.
Just be mindful to go through the chair.
My apologies.
So I only have 20 seconds left, and I did have a question about support at home, but maybe we'll get to that in another one. I certainly agree with you. I mean, I remember Conservative member filming a video in a men's washroom questioning why there were tampons in there when we offered free tampons. Subsequently deleted, but it was